Hello and welcome to the Art of Artisan. Today we are going to explore and we're going to start slamming Serpents. Cryptic Serpent and Tolarian Terror read almost the exact same, with costing one less for each instant and sorcery in our graveyard. And Serpentine Curve gets bigger for each instant and sorcery in our graveyard. So we've built a deck entirely around filling our graveyard with instants and sorceries while digging to find these Serpents. We've got Consider, Opt, Otherworldly Gaze, Curate, and Strategic Planning. Curate's probably the weakest of them, but I was running out of options. This is a mono blue Serpent deck, and because we already have some cards that fit the strategy, we're also going to play a Delver backup plan. With Delver, Shore Up, Spell Pierce, and Jwari Disruption to disrupt our opponent and just beat down with a single Delver. Maybe that can take us to the end of the game. We'll see. But this is a very simple, straightforward, redundant deck. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know how it's going to do. I have not really tested this deck at all. This is going to be a trial run for it, and you guys get to see how that goes. So thanks for watching the video. If you can like and subscribe, that would be super awesome. I really want these videos to get out to people so they can know they can play Magic without spending a single cent. And with that, let's get to the games. Game number 1, playing against Rattle. And we've got a great Delver hand to start us off. And we're on the play. We don't have support for the Delvers yet, but just Delver into Delver at the start. Eventually they flip. We have 29, I believe, instants and sorceries in the deck. So they should flip 50% of the time. Alrighty. Opponent took a while to decide on their mulligans, but we get to play Delver. And opponent's on something black. Darn. Land. We'll play Delver, and we will hold up something at instant speed. Considers the better of the two, because it helps us turbo out our terrors. Although Opt has the advantage of not revealing to our opponent what our deck is doing as much. Cards to be afraid of here. Meathook Massacre, hitting our Delvers before they flip, could be bad. Trying to think of other scary cards. Opponent plays Knight of Dusk's Shadow. Alright, yeah, we're going to consider. Fill our graveyard with spells and lands, apparently. Another consider. Okay, we need to flip a spell off the top. Reveal that. Let's go. Reveal that. And we can hold up Jwari Disruption and a second consider. That seems pretty solid. Our opponent's definitely not winning the race right now. And Jwari Disruption, they know it's in our hands, so they have to play around it. But that's going to slow them down considerably. Right, Malakir Coldblade. Our opponent appears to be fairly new to Magic, because they're playing a lot of they're playing very new cards and arena cards. That just gives me new player vibes, for sure. Consider another land that we don't want. We're only running 19 lands, and we are drawing a lot. I will opt. Another land, holy cow. We're lucky our Delvers flipped the way our deck is treating us. Okay. We can go risky here, and we can strategic planning and hope to make our Cryptic Serpent cheaper. And then just play out Cryptic Serpent, or we can hold up Jwari Disruption. I think we need to hold up Jwari Disruption. So strategic planning is the play anyways. We'll grab a Cryptic Serpent. Next turn we can play one of those and still be holding up Jwari Disruption. That seems pretty solid. Our opponent's also on a very tight clock. We almost killed him this next turn. We've got the Jwari Disruption to interfere with anything like Meathook this turn. Alright, Infernal Grasp. Opponent takes 2 damage. Gets rid of one of our Delvers. Pumps up their Malakir Coldblade. And foretells a card. Poison the Cup? I think that's the only black card that's worth foretelling. Okay, Cryptic Serpent, number 1. And we'll swing in with the Delver. Our opponent has to remove Delver this turn. They probably have Poison the Cup to do that. And then they also are going to need to deal with Cryptic Serpent into Serpentine Curve soon. Poison the Cup, yep. Alrighty, they get rid of our Insectile Aberration. It does pump up the Malakir Coldblade, which means if our opponent chose to double block our Cryptic Serpent here, they could have one of their creatures survive. That's a little bit rough. If we top deck a land here, we can do Cryptic Serpent and Serpentine Curve. Just lay on as many threats as we can. Poison the Cup. Alright, we're going to Jwari that. And pass to the opponent, and now they cannot double block as effectively. That may have been a pretty big misplay for our opponent. Saving up the mana to pump up Knight of Dusk's Shadow would have given them 2 3/3s. Oh, they wouldn't have survived. I'm not thinking. Yeah, they made the right call there. They're just going to have to chump block this turn. They wanted to get rid of Jwari from our hand? Sure. The opponent passes to us. We draw Spell Pierce. I like Spell Pierce. All of our threats are lethal threats at this point, so I think I just run out the Serpentine Curve to be more mana efficient. Opponent double blocks. Alright. There goes both your creatures. And mine. But we've got another one on the way. Okay. If opponent has Fatal Push, this is the wrong play. But I'm going to do it anyways to be mana efficient. We'll see if I made the wrong call soon enough. Typhoid Rats. Oh my goodness, opponent playing the Arena exclusive special. That's so good. That gets us here. We can't beat the Typhoid Rats. Well, strategic planning. Hopefully hit something else good. Cryptic Serpent. Alright. That lets us leave up Spell Pierce. And I think we don't swing in. I think we just swing in with 2 things next turn. That seems like the better play. Really wish we had Tolarian Terror against our opponent with all the removal spells, but we'll just have to let it go. No attacks. And opponent's turn. Play out a Swamp and a Nightmare. Wow. That can block our creatures. That can certainly block our creatures. Okay, we're going to Curate. Dump the island. Get a Tolarian Terror. Play a Cryptic Serpent. Play a Tolarian Terror. I don't think our opponent's playing Sweepers with how budget their deck is looking. And swing in. They have to double block here, lose both their creatures. We still have 2 on board. We do not have Spell Pierce up, which is a little bit risky, but I think this is a more guaranteed way to get lethal than just playing slow. And it is. And we took out an opponent playing the least tier of decks. I'm sorry, Rattle. Alright, on to game number 2. Game number 2. Playing against Testio. And our opening hand is a little bit too heavy on the threats, a little too light on the spells. I think we have to mulligan this. And hit a similar hand that's about as bad. Dang it. I like the first hand more. But I don't think we can go down any further at this point. I think we dump a Cryptic Serpent, get variety amongst our threats, and hope our opponent's not playing aggro. Okay, white, that's not a good sign. Lifegain in particular would be really rough for us to play against with this hand. Lifegain. You know how I said that would be rough to play against? Well, We're going to prove that right now. Voice of the Blessed. We can't counter it because we are on the play. And we're on the draw. That sucks. Alright, we can't even strategic planning here. We need to hold up Jwari Disruption, prevent our opponent from going too ham. Like Righteous Valkyrie here would make me so happy I held up Jwari Disruption. Opponent getting in for 4 on turn 3. Eek. Okay, we're going to hold up Spell Pierce, which is not a lot, but... And Otherworldly Gaze. Yeah, we got to turbo out our stuff. We got to start turboing. Channel our inner fast snails. Otherworldly Gaze could get us down to starting to play big blockers soon, but that's not going to be enough. Oh, yeah, our opponent wins. Soul Mender is just a bit too much for us to handle here. Just tap makes Voice of the Blessed bigger. Eventually, Voice of the Blessed is impossible for us to handle. We do not have any removal in our deck. We're just trying to... We're hoping that big blockers is enough of removal, but as we're seeing in this game, our opponent might just have bigger creatures than we have blockers. Let's dump the 2 spells. Get our price down to 2 for each of these. And run them out. Snake time. But I'm not sure it's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough. Intrepid Adversary. Voice of the Blessed is about to get flying. Yep, we're dead. No way we can kill our opponent. They have enough blockers, and they're all life-linking blockers. And we lose because we were on the draw. Didn't get to have Jwari Disruption up. Also, we had some pretty bad mulligans. Maybe a flaw in the deck. Alright, on to game number 3. We just could not get through... Well, we just cannot remove the Lifegain threats. That's a huge flaw with this deck and being mono blue. Oh well. Game number 3. Playing against Gabrol. And we've got another Delver hand. I haven't been impressed by Serpentine Curve yet. I just thought we needed more threats in the deck, but I may want to cut them. I guess I'll talk about that during the outro. This is great. We've got Delver and we've got Otherworldly Gaze to go with it to guarantee that it flips. And we're on the play. Can't think of much else to make this any better. In fact, we're going to flip it this first turn by Otherworldly Gazing and hope we hit like a Spell Pierce or a Consider, something to flip that we can also play. I like all of these, but I think we have to mill them. We've got enough threats. Submit the 2. Resolve. Reveal. Draw. Play out the land and start beating in. Our opponent's playing green, so they probably don't have many answers to a flyer. And green is also a color that gets stonewalled by Cryptic Serpent a large portion of the time. Never mind, our opponent's playing something Jund. Or perhaps just Gruul. Grabs green again. That's strange. We'll consider. I'm actually going to dump this, as risky as that seems, just because we're facing a green opponent and we really want to fill our graveyard fast. Okay, none of these cards do anything for me and they're all instant speed, so we're just going to swing in. Yeah, we're probably going to curate on our end step, on the opponent's end step. Maybe hit a Consider after that, and then we can start slamming Cryptic Serpents. This has Reach. Kodama has Reach. That's a little bit scary. We'll keep the Opt. Mill the island. Play the Opt. Is shore up good? Not super. We really don't need shore up against this opponent. Strategic planning is good. Okay, so we can strategic planning, find another serpent, find another serpent. And then we can start laying in on the serpents. And we will happily trade with this Kodama. They do not want to trade. Understandable. Serpentine Curve is going to be, yeah, opponent scoops it up. This is what I was talking about with the plan of Serpents just stonewalling any sort of creature deck. We saw it there. Let's get into game 4. Alrighty, game 4. Playing against 5-0 Nate with a solid Delver flips on turn 2 hand. Yeah, I think we got to keep this. This is a really solid hand. Delver to get in the early damage, Cryptic Serpent to eventually block off the ground, Otherworldly Gaze to flip Delver, Strategic Planning to find more action, and to make sure we can play Cryptic Serpent. Everything in this is looking great. Okay, we keep 7. Opponent playing something white. Soul Warden! Hooray! This is a deck that we probably lose to fairly consistently. The Lifegain is a problem. The gigantic creatures are a problem. We just don't have much going against this deck. Opponent just timed out. Did they just disconnect? Oh, that'd be nice. I don't want to do this matchup. Jwari Disruption is good eventually, maybe, with our opponent Landlight. So I do think we keep Jwari Disruption on top. And we've got to consider in hand to play for this turn anyways. Reveal it. And swing in with the Insectile Aberration. 6 turns later, our opponent's dead. Pass the turn. Opponent is still here. They just played a land. And a Fateful Absence. Okay. Opponent's definitely here. And we'll mill that. Get more cards in our graveyard. We can hold up Jwari Disruption and Cracking the Clue, or we could just play Cryptic Serpent. I think I lean towards playing Cryptic Serpent, because then the next turn we can like Strategic Planning and hold up Jwari Disruption or the Clue. Yeah. This is the best plan. And also it gains our opponent the life before they have any sort of life gain payoff. Like Righteous Valkyrie, I guess that one, the life gain beforehand matters too. Alright, we're going to Strategic Planning. Find ourselves a Serpentine Curve, I think. Yeah, Serpentine Curve, which is going to be a powerful card eventually. And we start swinging in. We need to get our opponent's life total low. Opponent lets it go through. That's fine by us. And then I think we're just going to curate to see the most cards instead of cracking the clue. Griffinary. That is an endless chump blocker machine. I love Griffinary. Okay, we're going to Jwari Disrupt that. We cannot let them start growing. Okay, but Griffinary is very much a scary card for us. Oh, they're attacking. They're not planning on blocking. Question is, do we Serpentine Curve here? Serpentine Curve gives us a threat that's lethal. Even if our opponent gains a bit of life. No, we don't. We're going to Strategic Planning and hope to hit a Serpent. We hit a Serpent. Play that boy. Opponent gains a life. Yes, yes. End turn. Opponent gets a Plains. And it's a Voice of the Blessed. Shoot, shoot, shoot. That gets big fast. We're really going to need our... Oh, and they get to Griffinary, which is going to grow it one more time. It's going to be a 5/5 at the sense. It's going to be a 6/6, 7/7 at the end of the send step. Oh, yikes. Yeah, I think we lost. Lifegain. Definitely a weakness for our deck. We will opt after they choose what they're putting the Luminarch Aspirant token counter on. Okay, Righteous Valkyrie. Interesting. Consider not useful. Shore Up useful. Oh, Shore Up super useful. If they block with Voice of the Blessed, our Cryptic Serpent, then this is going to be a blowout and a half. Voice of the Blessed blocks the Cryptic Serpent. Griffin blocks his Tolarian Terror. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! Oh, we got rid of the Voice of the Blessed. Okay. That's good news. Now can we hit another Tolarian Terror? We can. Oh, fantastic. Tolarian Terror. They still have the Luminarch Aspirant on the battlefield, but they don't have any Lifegain payoffs. Besides Righteous Valkyrie, but it's not going to turn on anytime soon. And then we're going to start playing our Serpentine curves and beating down with lethal threats every single turn. Oh, I love it. Okay, yep, you gain some life. We will swing in. Oh, that was a mistake. They can double block with the Righteous Valkyrie. Oh, they didn't double block. I guess they want all their creatures. Skyclave Apparition cannot hit anything except... They can't hit anything. Yeah, it can't hit tokens. And these are too high converted mana cost. And this is what I was talking about earlier as well, where we dodge a lot of the removal in this format. So like Tolarian Terror and Cryptic Serpent are a lot more powerful than they look. Like, a lot more resilient than they look. An opponent's going to have to start chump blocking our 14/14 Fractal. We'll swing in with it. Opponent. Gonna chump block with the Skyclave Apparition. Or Soul Warden? What? No, okay. That was just a visual glitch. We're good. Skyclave Apparition dies. Resolve. We play another Serpentine Curve. Opponent gains a life, which is a little bit rough, but I think an all-out swing next turn forces some really bad blocks. Regardless of where the pump from the Luminarch Aspirant goes. Yeah, opponent scoops it up. We beat Mono White Lifegain. They missed a turn. They time walked themselves at the start, but they were also on the play, so I don't feel too bad about that. It's almost like they mulliganed and then we're on the draw. So I'll count that one as a win, and we'll go on to game number 5, I think. Let's go. Alrighty, game number 5 versus Kirito. And we go first. We've got a lot of stuff to fill our graveyard. We've got ways to find lands. We've got 3 Serpents. I think we keep it. It's a little bit risky with the 1 land. But if we just dig for a land, we should be fine. Alrighty. Consider. Dump the Spell Pierce. Hit a land. Not a great hit. We'll have to opt for a land next turn. Unless we just straight up draw one, in which case strategic planning is awesome. Oh my gosh. Lifegain! I've never seen this deck before. Wow, interesting. Trying to think which of these is best. We want to dump instants and sorceries into our graveyard, but I think we also just need to find lands, so I'm going to take the opt. We've got these down to 4 mana cost. Next turn we can get them down to real cheap. Griffinary. Is this the same opponent? What the heck? Like, it's not, because I know I've not faced them, but dump all 3. Alright, opt, find us a land. If opt finds us a land, we can play our first Tolarian Terror. Tolarian Terror, go! And pass to the opponent. Having a lot of snakes in our opening hand, and they're just turboing out. That's turn 3. We cast a Tolarian Terror for 1 mana. And our opponent can't kill it because it's got ward. They'd have to have a 1 mana kill spell, of which there is none in white. They could play like a Righteous Valkyrie, which would be really annoying. Angel of Vitality is not bad. Not a real issue. And we get to go. Island. Okay, if we draw an island, I think our plan is to just swing in with Tolarian Terror, see if our opponent blocks it. And if they don't, we just double Cryptic Serpent. Just lay out all of our mana. Cryptic Serpent. Opponent gains 2 life because of Angel of Vitality. Cryptic Serpent. Opponent gains 2 life again, but now they are under a lot of pressure. That's 17 damage on board. And it's hard to remove 17 damage with like Skyclave Apparition and stuff. Inspiring Overseer. Okay, that gains our opponent a lot of life. That doesn't turn on Angel of Vitality, but... oh, it does. It turns on Angel of Vitality. But they're about to go back down on life again. We're about to swing in for a lot. They do get a Griffin as well, which gains them even more life. We will opt. See what we can hit. Island, we do not need any more of those. Thank you, deck. We'll swing in. An opponent can choose how they block. They're either losing their board or they're taking a lot. Okay, so they're going to double block with Angel of Vitality, or do they have something to protect it? Okay, so they double block. They're probably not going to want to block with Soul Warden. It'd be really awesome if we could give one of our creatures first strike so that Angel of Vitality shrunk. But that's fine. We'll take our damage. Now Tolarian Terror comes in and our opponent only gains 1 life off of it. Resolve. And we pass the turn. Otherworldly Gaze will help us dig into more annoying threats for our opponent. Opponent plays another Angel of Vitality, but this one's not going to be as good because it will not be pumped up. Just the 2/2. They swing in with the Griffin. No, they don't. Alright, they swing in with the Griffin. We will take it because we have no other choice. And we'll Otherworldly Gaze, see if we can draw ourselves another Serpent. Which we do. I actually really like strategic planning. So we'll just put Island into the graveyard. And Tolarian Terror on top. We'll use strategic planning the turn after to find even more action. Play out the land and swing in. Opponent takes all of it. Wow. We play Tolarian Terror and we've got 4 lethal threats on the board. Oh no, we don't, because Angel of Vitality gives them life. But we only need 2 to connect in order to get lethal here. Even if our opponent plays a creature or 2, we'd only need 2 to connect. So they're going to have to block like crazy. Resplendent Angel. Gains our opponent 2 life, but that's not going to be enough to trigger Resplendent Angel. They have to gain 5 life. Yeah, they have to gain 5 life to trigger it. So Revitalize here would be insane for our opponent. But I can't think of anything else that most mono white decks would play. Yep. And we beat mono white again, this time in a more fair matchup where they didn't skip their first turn. Alrighty, let's get to the deck wrap up. Alright, a 4-1 record with a huge asterisk. So, first of all, we faced 2 opponents that were running what looked like arena basic decks. We also faced an opponent who time walked themselves by skipping an entire turn. So we did go 4-1, but I think this deck probably has more of a 50-50 matchup in Explorer in the Platinum rank. That being said, this deck was great at punishing those weaker decks because it is extremely consistent. We saw in that last game especially, we were just casting all these draw spells. We're like, oh, we need lands? That's okay, we can find lands. Oh, we need more threats? That's okay, we can find more threats. So between all of these card draw effects and everything, we're able to find our creatures effectively. Other thing I noticed, we probably have a bad matchup against Lifegain. We went 2-1 against it in the video, which is probably frustrating for you guys to watch. We faced the same deck 3 times. But I think we have a bad matchup because we do not have removal in our deck. We're mono blue. We just don't do removal. We could try Fading Hope, but that wouldn't really be that great of a long-term solution. So overall thoughts on the deck list, I think it's good. I think it's not as great as the record suggests though. So I'm not sure if you should go spend a gazillion wild cards on this one. That being said, a lot of it is commons. We've got a very high number of commons in this deck actually, so it could be extremely cheap for most players to build. So that might be a vote in favor of it. The Delver of Secrets plan worked great. We saw that in the very first game, I believe, where we just beat down with a Delver for a long time. All of our card draw spells were great. I was actually kind of impressed by Curate. It doesn't seem that great of a card, but like you never see this in places, but it did do well. 19 lands felt right with the amount of card draw we have, especially when we have 4 Jwari disruptions, but I don't think we played a single one as a land. I think we just functioned well on low lands. And so that's Turbo Serpents. We played a lot of Serpents. We had a game where we had 4 down at once, which was pretty fun. And with that, thank you everybody for watching the video. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend and keep enjoying Budget Magic.